In relation to the four objectives, and starting with section D, this is where it's getting deeper, and we have the knowledge, awareness, and perception, stroke attitudes towards election and violence. The questions follow. As I said, I'll share this with the key stakeholders, so at least we can be able to do some value addition as well as a review. Section E, we have information sources, channels and settings. This is how people get information in the local community, and of course what settings they are aware of and exists on the ground. We also have, next we have the household and community practices. That is things like what current election campaign practices are going on in the community, and what some of those that they think would amplify the risk of election violence, down to social, cultural, economic, and environmental context, which is again a very key aspect of COMBI, like Martin brought it out. We also have to capture the community empowerment. We have questions such as what comes to your mind when you hear the word empowerment, and how do they understand empowerment, and what do they take to mean? What do they take empowerment to mean? And of course, looking at the different categories, especially the youth, the women, and people living with disabilities, we'll have to ask them what people think needs to be done to empower the three categories of people. We have the key areas of peace, unity, and national cohesiveness, where we have various questions, again addressing that aspect. We also have an objective on national values, and we have captured that very well in terms of other things that needs to come out and understood as far as that is concerned. And basically that covers the four sections or the four objectives for this particular campaign. As I've said, this is not the final, this is just a draft. It is done to some percentage. I did this within the time that I had, because we had, of course, to have something to start looking at. So because we need to modify it and make it better. And from there on, I believe within the next few days, we should be able to say we are done. The focus group discussion instrument looks more or less the same. It's only that with the focus groups, as I've said, it's a more relaxed setting. You don't ask questions one-on-one. We'll have people seated on a table where we shall have some moderators, of course, some trained moderators, who will ask questions and interact in a free environment with the respondents and get the views in regard to the four objectives as you've seen. So I think that brings me to the end of what I had to share. Yes. Don't much on this one because it's just a quick review of what we have done, and of course with the questionnaire I'm looking at the introductory part, and the quantitative one will have to capture details about the interviews the interviews details and other checks before we go. And straight on, we shall have a screener, because we have to talk about people, we have to interview people who are above 18 years, and again, they have to be registered voters. Quickly, we have to preamble the subject, which is election violence, which is the key subject here, and we have to ask them whether whether they are aware of any social injustice in the society, and from there, spontaneously or through prompting, they will tell us more about whether they are aware. Of course, in this country, no one is not aware of. Not anybody is not aware about election violence, going by what we have gone through. That's when I started to go to the field and doing some interviews. However, within that very time, I've really been involved in so many things, and that's why I'm coming in this particular campaign, both in terms of field interactions with the people that we're going to talk to in regard to collecting data, all the way to instrument development, because we need good instruments, and we have to come that is not capturing the objectives of a particular survey. That means garbage in, and of course what you expect at the end of the day is garbage out. You remember that, for those who are here, because you have definitely to make sure that all the objectives for the survey are captured within the instruments that you have. So at least by the end of the day, the results can be credible and can feature correctly in terms of what you wanted to achieve. So I will not spend much of the time, because I'm just here to discuss slightly about the instrument design. Madrin and I have come together to make sure at least the objectives that have been outlined in this particular campaign have been captured. And for those maybe who are here for the first time, we have 4 objectives that run across various segmentations, or segments rather. And we have made sure that the concepts, the questionnaire that we're going to develop, or the ones that we have developed, have actually captured all those sections. Just to mention or to take you back again, going back to what Kimani has said, we have worked together with Kimani and Dr. Mweti, especially Dr. Mweti, because I knew him back in 2006, when we did a survey, because that's, as I say, that's my key area. For one of the politicians who is still incumbent, he's a senator, somewhere I wouldn't mention his name, but at that time he was an MP. So we came up with a concept. He gave me a brief, which I turned around, we did a proposal, he accepted, and actually went to the field. And I unveiled, or I unearthed so many things that would have made him come back if he was to do what exactly I told him. And actually there was a strong opponent who was coming in very strongly. And the guy emerged. Up to today, because he has not come back to me, I believe he still uses the same report to come back. Because he's as we speak, that was in 2007. So 2013 he never came back, but he contested again and he's now a senator. So those are some of them. I've also been involved in so many. I cannot think of less than 2,000 studies that have literally been involved, not just in Kenya but across Africa. One of the key projects that I really feel proud of, because I was fully in charge, was a project for governance and just the deal when Mother Karua was still the Minister for Governance and Justice, and we were calling it DJ laws, because I remember we went across to all the 47 counties, and it was very vigorous because we were using the NASEP clusters to collect the data. We went to the interior part of Lamu, the most interior part of Moyale, and actually there were a lot of challenges because of things like weather and all those kind of things, but we came out strong and we gave a very good service. Because talking of interviewing, I know most of the surveys that you hear about, people talk about 2,000 or less kind of sample sizes. This was all 6,000 interviews across the 47 countries. So 6,000 interviews with about 200 field data collectors. That is not something cheap, because I remember we used close to about 20 million to mobilize everybody. And this was to run across a month, and we were supposed to be out with data done. And that is the time actually I came to interact a lot with the people who normally provide us with data, which again we shall look into Madrid, so that we can be able to see how much we can be able to make this scientific. Because again, besides the element of instruments have been designed, we have also to think about the segment, just like she said. And the segments we are looking at here, we've just been discussing, we are proposing, or rather we have thought of interviewing the 3 main areas. Of course, not talking of marginalized, but the key main areas where there are, things this campaign is sensitive about. That is the youth, women, and the people living with disability. Those are key areas that we shall cover, and of course we shall not also leave out men, because they are part of our society and we also need their opinion. So we shall encompass everybody and anybody as far as this survey is concerned. So besides that, and just like I've said, we are already at the stage, because when we were here last time, I remember Mr. Ahmed, the CEO, said, and I also quote Mr. Dr. Mweti, that there is need for immediacy if we have to reach or to go by the timelines that the CEO gave, which is by June we should be done with the baseline survey. And that is why quickly we went into the implementation of the design of the instrument, which we have already come up with. I remember I got some inputs yesterday by afternoon, just like Madrina, although she was doing some other things. I slept quite late yesterday because I was working on these very instruments. But I had to make sure at least by this morning, the technical bench or some of you who are involved, the stakeholders, can have a look at something to start with. So actually from there, we can do some validation. But more or less, what we have has actually like captured the objectives, and I'll quickly and very fast flash through the instruments that we have here. So at least you can be able to have a look. Is it too small?
Yeah.
Where are the experts? We have one, we come with the experts. So we shall have two types of instruments because again we consider the survey should be done in two ways, that is qualitatively and quantitatively. So at least it can be able to capture the information in regard to the campaign that we're about to run. That is very key. Quantitative, as you all know, is the yes and no kind of answers or questions that we ask people. And that will give us some scientific numbers that we can work with in terms of saying what percentage, what percent of people thought of a certain idea or that kind of thing is workable. Just magnify it. Qualitative, of course, will be focus group. Focus group discussion is where we have a group of 8 to 10 people, or less, 6 to 10, are seated in a focus group, and that is where a lot of things come about, because qualitative is more of whys and ifs. So at least people can be able to open up further and give us more information. And we shall have this kind of setting with all the